The news tonight, NBC suspends revocation of licenses of indebted broadcast stations. More than 130 Nigerian borders remain unguarded, Chief of Defense Staff Lucky Irabo reveals. And Nigeria's economy records growth as gross domestic product rise to 3.54% in second quarter of 2022. Many thanks for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. The National Broadcast Commission, NBC, has suspended the revocation of licenses of broadcast stations who have failed to renew them. The Director General of the NBC, Balarabe Shehu Ilela, said this in a statement on Friday. The communique also revealed that the NBC was aware of the inconveniences the shutdown must have caused the operators and other stakeholders, but it insisted that it will always operate within the National Broadcasting Commission Act. A week ago, the Commission issued a shutdown notice to the licenses of Silverbird TV, AIT, Raypower FM and Rhythm FM, amongst others, over a debt of 2.66 billion naira. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Irabo, has disclosed that 137 out of about 261 borders in the northeast and northwest regions of the country are unguarded. He said this on Thursday while delivering a lecture at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos. While calling for the use of technology as a tool in strengthening the Nigerian borders, the defense chief explained that the porous borders accounted for the easy access of terrorists from neighboring countries into Nigeria to wreak mayhem. He added that there is a need to have a broad-based integrated border management system to be established. Well, to speak more on this, Dennis Amakri, former Deputy Director, Department of State Services, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, it's been established several times that porous borders fueled insecurity in the northwest and the northeast part of the country. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Irabo, has clearly stated what must be done. So why have we not seen the implementation of some of these preventive measures?
Well, thank you for having me. I think I would say that it is something that security experts have been talking about. The borders have been porous, and then, of course, that's where most of the threats facing the country are coming in from. And finally, we have the Chief of Defense Staff talking about it, because that is one of the most vulnerable borders that we have in the country. And I hope that now that it has come to his attention, he will do something about it.
Now, speaking of the significance now, to what extent can we measure how important really it is to make sure that our borders are not porous? And what really happens when a country as large as Nigeria has an open border, a border that is, very sensitive, so to speak?
It is, in fact, it's very, very shameful. It's like you opening your door very wide, and then, of course, you have robbers and thieves moving in and out of it. Now he has said that, in fact, majorly we should listen to what he said, that 137 of them have been, are the ones that are not well manned. How about the ones that are well manned? Are they being enforced? Because I don't think they are being enforced, and that's where major threats are coming in. We have drug dealers, arms and drug dealers, proliferation of arms, small arms that is fueling the insurgency and the terrorist activity in Nigeria. And then, of course, illegal border crossings by either farmers and others, who are crossing. And then, majorly, it is not enforced. This enforcement is what we need, because we are not only the only country in the world that do not have large borders. Even in the United States, remember when President Trump said He's going to build a wall across so that it will not allow people to cross over. But even then, when they do it, they support it fully with drones, they support it with helicopter patrols, they support it with human beings, car patrols. Are we ready to do that? Because if we don't prioritize this, then it becomes a real big problem for the country.
Dennis Samakri, former Deputy Director, Department of State Services, thank you very much for your time and your contribution. After hours of rescue operations, 2 persons who were trapped in a collapsed 2-story building in the Kubwa satellite town in Abuja have been confirmed dead. Earlier, 5 victims were rescued by Joint Task Force of Operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Nigeria Police Force, and some residents. The building, which was under construction, collapsed at Hamza Abdullahi Street of Gado Nasco Road. According to neighbors, an old man who secures the building is one of the victims, while his friend is a second person.
We received a distress call at about 11:45, and on turning out, we arrived here where we had to activate other stakeholders. We activated NEMA, Road Safety, FCT Fire Service, some of our civil defense, the police force. We all turned out and we swung into action. Well, with other forces, we had combined forces, a combined team, and we were able to rescue 5 people. We took them to the hospital. 2 of them are already out of the hospital. They are not badly injured. We have 2 more people that are trapped in the building, and that is what we are doing now. We are trying to make sure we get them out of the building, because from a reliable source, the people that survived, that came out of the building, they told us that there were 2 other people there, the security man and one of his friends who came to visit him.
It was around 10:40 something yesterday night when we were in the parlor watching movies. Then we heard the sound of, we thought it was like rain falling actually. So we came outside, and then just for us to see dust like everywhere, it was like cloud everywhere. And then everybody rushed outside. We started shouting for help, and we saw that the building was collapsed. And then for me to enter back inside, the tap was destroyed. Water entered our house, dust, and since yesterday we're not able to sleep because we're so scared, because our fence broke down, and we're very scared of what will happen because of the robbery cases everywhere now.
It's a fresh building because they started it from the scratch, because they demolished the building there before, so they now develop another building on this thing. So, but to me, what I'm seeing, according to what I saw, the building, everything, the material they use in that building is not solid. I think that could be the reason why the house collapsed.
But still in Abuja, human rights group Amnesty International has faulted the demolition of Durumi 3 village after the forceful eviction of its dwellers from the community. The country director of the global rights group in Nigeria, Osai Ojigo, condemned the eviction at a press conference in Abuja. Ojigo said lives were lost whilst scores of others have been rendered homeless and disposed of their means of livelihood. She further added that the forceful eviction of the inhabitants of the community was done without due consultations and adequate notice by the government.
We are monitoring the situation on ground, so we've already started to educate the community of their human rights, which will raise awareness of this issue of safe housing in Nigeria, and using the Durumi 3 experience to show current impact of government policies when it does not follow the due diligence and what is expected under international law. We hope that these measures would put this issue on the top burner for the authorities, but more importantly, to give recourse to the community members and their families, so that they can once and for all have a long-lasting solution to this issue. It is disheartening that several years after several administrations have already reassured them of the security of tenure that they have, that they continue to face threats from those who seek to develop lands that are not theirs, but actually for private development. And we really hope that the authorities this time around will live up to the spirit of the Constitution and to recognize that every person, regardless of where they are, where they come from, and their status, is given their own rights, and those rights are protected.
And now to politics. The Social Democratic Party, SDP, has promised to provide better welfare and improve the state of the economy if elected into power in the 2023 presidential election. Speaking to journalists in Lagos, Dabira Oluwadeyinka, SDP chairman, Lagos State Chapter, explained that the 2023 presidential election presents another chance for Nigerians to change the narrative, while urging citizens not to sell their vote. The Lagos SDP chairman explained that each Nigerian has the power to transform the country by voting right.
Nigerians have been agitating. Nigerians have been saying that they are tired of the recycled political system that is not supporting our educational system, our medical system, our roads and security, most importantly, and electricity. Nigerians are suffering. We are living in a country where we look like refugees in disguise. And if you want this narrative to be changed, it has to be that we, the people of this country, take a decision, not by a name of a person, or by a party platform, but by the individual. Let's go and do researches on all these people that are coming out saying that they want to come and give us governance come 2023. As we speak, we have a party that has produced a precedent, and till date, the country is deteriorating. Life is becoming unbearable for the people, and we all have to be a voice to the masses. We are asking that Nigerians should please go and get their PVCs. That is one step. When you get your PVC, please don't sell your votes. If you sell your vote for 5,000 naira, just imagine, can 5,000 naira sustain you for another 8 years? For every money they keep doling out and dashing out the people, they make the people pay back those money.
Well, we'll take a break here, but still to come, COVID-19 maker Moderna sues Pfizer over vaccine technology. Details of this story and more right after this break.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, has suspended the revocation of licenses of broadcast stations who have failed to renew them. The Director General of the NBC, Balarabe Shehu Ilela, in a statement on Friday, also revealed that the NBC was aware of the inconveniences the shutdown must have caused the operators and their stakeholders, but it insisted that it will always operate within the National Broadcasting Commission Act. He also told you that after hours of rescue operations, 2 persons who were trapped in a collapsed 2-story building in the Kubwa Satellite Town area in Abuja have been confirmed dead. Earlier, 5 victims were rescued by the Joint Task Force of Operatives of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Nigeria Police Force, and some residents. The building, which is under construction, collapsed at Hamza Abdullahi Street off Gado Nasco Road. Well, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, so for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. U.S. drug company Moderna has said it is suing Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech for patent infringement in the development of the first COVID-19 vaccine. The drug company is alleging that the mRNA technology it developed before the pandemic was copied. The lawsuit, which is seeking unspecified financial damages, was filed in Germany and the U.S. state of Massachusetts. Earlier in the pandemic, Moderna said it would not enforce its COVID-19 patent to help others develop their own vaccines. But in March 2022, Moderna said it expected companies such as Pfizer and BioNTech to respect its intellectual property rights. The World Health Organization says there have been 1 million COVID-19 deaths so far this year. Speaking during his regular briefing from Geneva, WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus urged all governments to step up action to vaccinate all health workers, older persons and others at highest risk as part of efforts towards inoculating 70% of the global population. While welcoming progress and coverage of high-priority groups, the WHO chief emphasized that more must be done as 1/3 of the world's population remains unvaccinated.
This week, we crossed the tragic milestone of 1 million reported deaths so far this year. We cannot say we're learning to live with COVID-19 when 1 million people have died with COVID-19 this year alone. When we are at 2.5 years into the pandemic and have all the tools necessary to prevent these deaths. Once again, we ask all governments to strengthen their efforts to vaccinate all health workers, older people, and others at the highest risk on the way to 70% vaccine coverage for the whole population. It's pleasing to see that some countries with the lowest vaccination rates are now making up ground, especially in Africa. In January this year, WHO, UNICEF, and partners established the COVID-19 Vaccine Delivery Partnership to accelerate vaccine coverage in the 34 countries that were below 10% coverage, all but 6 of which are in Africa. Just 6 months later, only 10 countries still have less than 10% coverage, most of which are facing humanitarian emergencies. It's especially pleasing to see that coverage of high-priority groups is improving, with many countries making impressive progress towards vaccinating 100% of health workers and 100% of older people. However, much more needs to be done. 1/3 of the world's population remains unvaccinated, including 2/3 of health workers and 3/4 of older adults in low-income countries.
I will take a breather here and return with more stories to stay with us. Welcome back. Let's now join Mary Kanu for the latest in business. Over to you, Mary.
Well, thank you, Folashade. Hello and welcome to Business News. Latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, indicates that Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 3.54% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2022. This is an improvement compared to the 3.11% growth recorded in the previous quarter. The growth recorded in the reviewed quarter also indicates the 7th consecutive quarter of GDP growth in the country since the recession recorded in the third quarter of 2020. And stakeholders in Nigeria's advertising sector have described as laudable the new law banning the use of foreign models and voice-over artists on Nigerian adverts. This ban is part of a new rebranding campaign that the agency started with its Director General, Lekon Fadolakpo, announcing the change of its name from Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCAN, to Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ARCAN. Well, our correspondent Folashade Ogurinde tells us more in this next report.
Like most African countries, Nigeria has begun checkmating its consumption of foreign art, music and culture. Not to be left out, the federal government, through the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ACON, has enacted laws to encourage and promote the use of local talents in Nigerian adverts. To this end, the use of foreign models and voiceover artists for Nigerian-based adverts have been banned.
We have over 200 voices in our country. Are you saying none of those voices is good enough to market a product? That we need to import voice from other countries to market, develop communications that will sell to the Nigerians?
Popular Nigerian actor Segun Arinze is the president of the Association of Voice-Over Artists in Nigeria. He says the prohibition of foreign voice-over talents in Nigerian adverts will tackle capital flights, as well as provide jobs for the vast number of local talents who had to jostle for employment with foreign-based talents.
Before now, a number of agencies do take their works out of the country and bring it back because they, in court, want to put it on the, make it, how do I put it, at the international best practice? That's what they call it. We'll put it on an international level. So what's the signal, what's the message you're sending to the local talent that they're not good enough? So you go out there and you spend a lot of foreign exchange, pay talents out there to the detriment of your own local art. I mean, it just doesn't add up. So it's, for me and for the association as a whole, it's a welcome development that at last the government is beginning to listen to us and doing the things and going in the right direction.
While the federal government is assured that the new policy would not affect ongoing advertising campaigns, the fears that the new law could discourage foreign firms from advertising their goods and services in the Nigerian market. But industry experts say such concern is unfounded.
It makes no sense for you to start to sell to Americans on American TV and bringing people from Nigeria or with Ghanaian accents. Whether it even makes sense or not, you have a disconnect between the people you are trying to sell to and the message you are trying to sell to them. That is the first thing. So for people who want to sell to Nigeria, I think it behoves of those people to understand that Nigerians would rather see themselves in commercials and in communications.
Nigeria's advertising industry has grown over the years, contributing as much as $450 million that is 1% of the gross domestic products of the country. These, however, pales in comparison to South Africa, whose advertising industry grossed $2.6 billion, that is 7% of the country's GDP. Despite the underperformance, industry experts are optimistic that with proper strategic plans, the sector has the capacity for growth to as much as $450 million. Folashade Ogurinde, TV360 News.
We'll take a break now and be back with Stock Market Review. Well, it's been 3 consecutive days of gains on the floor of the NGX as the market took an impressive turnaround, and at the close of today's trade, investors' portfolio grew by 1 billion naira, represented a 0.04% gain at 49,682 basis points. Now, the bullish trends were recorded on the back of gains from the oil and gas and financial services sector, with Jaipur Gold and Mutual Benefit Assurance gaining 5 kobo to become the best performing stocks in the session. Our market breadth also closed positive, ending with 17 gainers and 15 losers, as the market summary shows 193 million volume of shares were traded in 3,307 deals. Now, the NGX has closed the week positive as investors hope for a replication of today's gains, but we'll wait and see what the new week brings. Now, let's turn our attention now to some select global stocks. Now, inflation and financial crisis have had the best of the FTSE and the Dow Jones, as both stocks are trading down at 0.70% and 1.93%, while in Asia, stocks are trading up at 0.57%. Well, that's the stock market review. For Lashade, back to you.
Well, many thanks, Mary, for that update. And on the foreign scene, the U.S. has warned Russia against diverting energy from a nuclear plant Ukraine says was cut off from its grid, as calls for an independent inspection of the facility mount. Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant is under occupation by Moscow's troops and was disconnected from the national power supply on Thursday, the state energy operator said. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky has described Russian actions around the plant as a menace. Zelensky, in his nightly address, said Russia has put Ukrainians, as well as all Europeans, one step away from radiation disaster. And now in sports, 2021 European League finalists Manchester United have been seeded to face Real Sociedad in the group stage of the 2022 and 2023 tournament. On the other hand, Arsenal face a tricky test in Group A of the tournament when they lock horns with PSV Eindhoven. The group stage will begin on September 8 and end on November 3rd, earlier than usual due to the World Cup in Qatar. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.